Hey, what's going on everyone? Axel here. Today we're going to talk about retro gaming and specifically why people like me prefer to still play on the original hardware versus playing on a ROM or an emulator. Retro gaming is becoming very popular these days and a lot of people do prefer to still play on the original hardware. And there's another group of people who don't really understand why people want to play on the original hardware. To them it's outdated technology, it's more expensive, it's less convenient, it takes up space, and they don't really get it. So today I want to talk about why me and a lot of other people still prefer to play on the physical original hardware. I've made a list of reasons here and we're going to go through them one by one. The first one is quality. No matter how good emulation gets, it's never going to be quite as good as the original hardware. The original hardware does represent the game from the developers the way it was supposed to be, the music exactly as it was meant to be, and the sounds and all the aesthetics the way they were meant to be. A lot of emulators just cannot duplicate that perfectly. When you play a game on the original hardware, it's going to sound and look a little bit different. It's going to sound and look the way it was actually meant to look, and to a lot of people that's very important, to actually play the real game and not just play a not perfect copy of the game. Legality is the next reason. It's very up in the air whether emulation is legal or not. There's a lot of debate about it, but there's really nothing set in stone legally, at least here in the US, about emulation. And we see big companies like Nintendo be very much against emulation. So it's a thing where I very much doubt you're ever going to get busted by the cops for emulating the whole NES library or whatever, but a lot of people just morally like to know that what they're doing is legal and true to the original developers and true to the company. The next reason is physical ownership. When you own a game, a physical game, say I have a copy of my copy of Castlevania 1. I can hold it in my hand, I can look at it, I have certain rights as an owner. I can resell it, I can donate it, I can collect it, I can display it. You can't do that with emulation. Yes, emulation is free, but physical hardware, especially when we get to the more valuable retro stuff, a lot of that is just an investment. You're not really burning your money when you buy that. You just put it into the physical hardware, and as long as you take care of it, you don't destroy it, you can get your money back out, and you could possibly get it back out in plus more. If the trend we're going, a lot of the retro stuff is only going to get more and more expensive as it gets rarer and rarer with age, as undoubtedly some of it continues to get lost, continues to wear out. So actually investing in physical hardware is actually an investment. You're not just burning your money. So that's a big thing with people, having the freedom to actually own the game, sell it, collect it. It's very important. You can't do that with emulation. A lot of people who play physical games off the original hardware don't just want to play the game, and this is the big distinction between people who play on emulators and people who play off the physical hardware. People who play off the physical hardware don't just want to play a game, and that's what some of the emulation type people, PC gamers type people don't really get. They don't want to just play a game, they want to have a game and play a game. There's a difference. Next is nostalgia. Nostalgia, no doubt, is a huge reason why retro gaming is so popular. A lot of people who grew up with the NES, people like me who grew up with the SNES and the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, when we go back and play those games, it brings us back to a earlier time in our lives when we were kids, we were growing up, a simpler time. When we go back and play those games, we can be a kid again. We can feel like a kid again. We can feel again those feelings we had when we were a little kid and we were maybe going through a game that was really our first great video game experience. We can go through that again and have those same great experiences and bring back those memories. So it's not just about playing a game a lot of the times, it's about nostalgia and it's about revisiting memories from when you were younger. Next reason is, I kind of mentioned this already, but collectability. A lot of people collect these games to actually, who own these games and buy these games, do it just to collect them. A lot of these people don't really want to play them so much as they just want to display them. They think it's cool. They treat it like art, essentially. A lot of people might want to. That's why people put a lot of collectors put box copies of things up on their wall. It's just they just display it, kind of like a fine painting. They may not be huge into actually playing the games, but they appreciate it like an art form, like art. They want to look at it and just observe it, and they just want to enjoy having it. Next reason is challenge. Now, this is one thing that you definitely can't get with an emulator almost all the time unless you have a lot of discipline. The thing about a lot of these old school games when you play them on the cartridge is you have to play the game the way it was intended when it was created. Say a game like Castlevania 1, like I just mentioned. In that game, there are no saves. You have to play it from beginning to the end. I think there's, 6 stages? You have to play it from stage 1 all the way through stage 6. And there's no save points. There's no way to save. There's no password system even in that game. So to beat the game, you have to play it all the way through. You can't you can't beat 3 levels and save. You can't save it in a save state right before the boss fight and try it over and over and over again. A lot of these old school games have a lot of punishment to them, and they have an aspect of challenge that you just can't get through an emulator, because with an emulator you always have the temptation to use a save state, and as a result you can beat the game easier and you don't get the same level of satisfaction. When you beat a really difficult old school game on an NES, you get a great feeling of satisfaction that you just can't get with an emulator in using save states. That's the one thing about older games. A lot of people consider them harder because they're a lot more brutal in terms of the challenge offered, and they had to be harder because saves weren't really a thing back then. A lot of games were shorter back then, and they were meant to be played over and over, and games were meant to last a while, and because of that they had to be made very difficult. Next is convenience. Now, you might think that, wait, how is using old original hardware more convenient when I can just go on my computer and download all these ROMs, blah, 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 blah. But what you have to understand is a lot of people aren't like us. There's a thing called the casual market. We are the hardcore gaming market. Anyone watching this video would be a hardcore gamer in that kind of market. We're technology, when it comes to technology, we're good at it. We know how to use computers. We know all this techie stuff that the casual market does not know. A lot of people wouldn't even begin, most people in fact, who want to play a video game now, who might want to go back and revisit these retro games, wouldn't know anything about emulators. They would have no idea how to download that stuff, even though it's easy, and it may be easy. You'd be surprised at how hard it can be for the older generation, really people in their 40s and over who didn't really grow up with computers per se, how hard it is for them to actually understand and run an emulator and download that stuff and get it all to work and actually understand the process. So for them, it's just simpler to just own the physical game and play it the way they know, the way they did when they were a kid, to play it the way they were used to playing it. So convenience is definitely a thing. And there's also something to be said about just picking up a game, putting it into a console, hitting a button, instead of having to go on your computer, open a file, run an emulator, open DOSBox, whatever you're using to play your emulator. It can often be just much easier for the older generation and a lot of people in general to just put the physical game in the cartridge, hit start, or the physical cartridge in the console and hit start. All right, next reason is taking care of the system, the enjoyment of just owning and taking care of a system. A lot of collectors that I've read about and I've seen are kind of, I guess the best way to describe it would be therapeutic. It's kind of therapeutic for them to go through and maintain their system and clean their system. A lot of people, like a lot of old collectors, like for the NES and SNES, for example, like getting that bottle of Windex and some Q-tips and just cleaning their cartridges over like every few weeks. It's just therapeutic. It's fun. It's enjoyable for them. It's a good way to kill time. It's a good hobby. It's fun. It's fun to open up your NES and fix it yourself. Change that 72-pin connector. Clean out the console. And that's something you don't get. You can't put your hands on an emulator. You can't go through that kind of process of cleaning your games, storing your games, collecting your games, putting your game. Some collectors go so far as to putting their cartridges in individual baggies, things like that. There's a lot of enjoyment just in terms of maintaining your system. Next is, and this kind of goes back to convenience, but for a lot of a lot of retro gamers, time is limited. A lot of people prefer consoles because they may only have an hour a day to play video games, if that. So in that hour, they don't want to spend that hour going through their computer, running things through an emulator, having to do whatever. They just want to sit down and play a game. So just taking the physical game, putting it to the console is an easy way for them to do that. So convenience has always been a draw with consoles. And when you get into emulators and emulation, you get on, it becomes a more complicated process than just getting a game and putting it to a console. And that's why people went to consoles in the first place. That's why people are so passionate about consoles still. It's just the convenience, the ease of just picking up a game, putting it in the console, and hitting start. And finally, the last reason I've listed here is playing things on a console is just a different experience than playing on an emulator. There's just something to be said that you just can't really describe in words about sitting on your favorite chair, grabbing a physical controller that you bought in the store, that you own, that's connected to a console, that's sitting there under your TV, putting the game in that you can physically hold in your hand, putting it in there, hitting start, watching the box slide up. There's just something about that you can't really describe in words that's just special. And a lot of collectors feel that way. A lot of people do feel that way. There's just this intangible quality about console gaming that makes it just more special than just running it on an emulator. The thing about emulators is they kind of break down the art and the charm of consoles into just a digital file. When you get an SD card and just say, oh yeah, here's the entire NES library, that's true. It's the digital file, it's all the games, but there's just an intangible quality to actually getting the games and having a console. There's an art there, there's a charm there, there's just a style about playing games that way that you just can't measure and you can't describe in words. There's just something special about that. So that's why a lot of people do prefer consoles, and that's why I like consoles. There's just something great about that experience that you just can't get on an emulator. I've tried playing on my NES, and I've tried playing games through emulators on my cell phone or through my computer, and it's just not the same. I can't really tell you why it's not the same, but it's just not the same. I think it has something to do with just the art and the charm of playing on a console. So guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment below and let me know if you prefer to play on the original hardware or if you're someone who prefers to play on emulators. That's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do me a favor and subscribe, and if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter. That's it, guys. Yeah, have a good one. I'll see you next time. Take care.